No one noticed the virgin waitress crying while she served. Not the men snapping their fingers for refills, not the manager yelling about smiles and tips, not the city that swallowed girls like her every single night. She smiled anyway. She wiped tables with shaking hands. She said, "Have a good evening," with a voice that was breaking. She swallowed tears between orders because crying didn't pay rent and pain didn't refill her daughter's inhaler. She was invisible. Just another tired girl in a cheap uniform, working late, hurting quietly, disappearing slowly, until one man noticed, not because she was loud, not because she begged, but because she cried without making a sound. The Korean Mafia boss sat alone in the shadows, a king surrounded by power, money, and violence, and yet his eyes never left her. He saw the tremble in her fingers, the way her smile came half a second too late, the way she turned her face away when she thought no one was watching. He realized something terrifying. She wasn't weak. She was surviving, and survivors recognize each other. That night, he didn't know her name, didn't know she was a virgin, didn't know she had a 7-year-old daughter whose lungs betrayed her in the dark, but he knew one thing: she was drowning, and no one was throwing her a rope. What he didn't know was that noticing her would cost him everything, because when a man built on blood and fear decides to care, his enemies don't just attack him, they take what he loves. And weeks later, in a cold warehouse smelling of rust and death, that same waitress would stand frozen, a gun pressed to her head, while the man who noticed her was tied to a chair, bleeding, watching the world dare him to fail her. This isn't a love story. It's a warning about what happens when a monster falls for a woman who was never supposed to be seen, when power meets purity, when survival turns into obsession, and when one quiet tear changes the fate of everyone in the room. Because the moment he noticed her crying was the moment someone signed their own death sentence. The gun pressed against Maya's temple was cold. Not movie cold, not metaphorical cold, the kind of cold that seeps through skin and bone, straight into the part of your brain that knows, really knows, you're about to die. "Please," she whispered, and hated how her voice cracked. "My daughter. Lily needs her inhaler. She's only 7. She needs—" "Shut up." The man holding the gun, Victor. She'd learned his name 5 minutes before he dragged her into this warehouse, dug the barrel harder into her skin, hard enough to bruise, hard enough to leave a mark that wouldn't matter if she was dead. Across the concrete expanse, cable tied to a metal chair with blood dripping from a cut above his eyebrow, Jae-sung sat perfectly still, too still, even bleeding, even bound. He radiated something that made Victor's hand tremble slightly. The kind of power that doesn't disappear just because someone took your guns and tied your wrists. The kind of danger that lives in the bones. His dark eyes, those eyes that had once looked at her across a diner counter and seen her, were fixed on Victor with an expression that promised death. Slow death. Creative death. "You made a mistake, Jae-sung." Victor's voice tried for confidence, but landed somewhere near hysteria. "You let yourself care. After all these years, the Ice King finally found something that matters more than power." Jae-sung didn't respond. His jaw clenched once. A muscle twitched in his cheek. That was all. But Maya felt the temperature in the warehouse drop 10 degrees. "I'm going to kill her," Victor continued, and Maya felt his hand shake harder, felt sweat drip onto her shoulder despite the December cold. "I'm going to make you watch, and then my people are going to take everything you built and—" "If you hurt her," Jae-sung said quietly, "I will find everyone you've ever loved, everyone you've ever spoken to. I will erase your entire bloodline from existence." He said it like he was discussing the weather. He said it like a promise written in stone. Victor laughed, but it sounded wrong, hollow. "You're tied to a fucking chair, you arrogant—" "I only need 30 seconds. Jae-sung's eyes never left Maya's face, never blinked. "Untied." That's all I need to kill every person in this building, starting with you." Maya believed him. God help her. She believed every word. Lily, she thought desperately. Who will give Lily her medicine at 10 p.m.? Who will check her breathing? Who will... This wasn't how their story was supposed to go. 9 weeks earlier. The smell of industrial floor sanitizer always reminded Maya of hospitals. Cold, sharp, painfully sterile. She'd been smelling it for 6 hours straight. 2:47 a.m., and the chrome and glass lounge was finally empty except for staff counting tips and a few businessmen nursing final drinks in the corner booths. Maya's feet screamed in her worn Payless heels, the ones she'd reinforced with duct tape inside where no one could see. Her face hurt from smiling. Everything hurt, actually, but the smile was worse because it was intentional, because she'd painted it on at 8 p.m. and hadn't let it slip once, despite Mr. Henderson grabbing her ass during the dinner rush, despite the kitchen losing her order twice, despite the text from her neighbor, Lily had another episode. Use the inhaler. She's okay, but you need to refill it soon. Refill cost, $340 without insurance. Current bank balance, $23. She was doing math in her head, calculating which bill could wait another week, whether she could survive on ramen and give Lily the actual meals, when the front door opened. The sound of conversation died, just stopped. Maya looked up from wiping down table 7 and felt her breath catch. 4 men in suits that probably cost more than her car entered like wolves into a henhouse. But they weren't the ones who made the air change. They were just the warning. The 5th man walked in like he owned not just the lounge, but the entire city block. Probably the whole neighborhood. Maybe the world. Jae-sung. She'd hear his name later, whispered by the other waitresses with a mixture of fear and fascination. But in that moment, he was just a presence. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit that fit like it had been sewn directly onto his body. His hair was dark and pushed back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Sharp jaw, sharper cheekbones, and eyes like winter midnight, cold and depthless. The manager appeared from nowhere, practically tripping over himself. "Mr. Kang, we weren't expecting. We would have prepared your usual table. Please, this way." Jae-sung moved past him without acknowledgement. His bodyguards flanked him as he walked toward the private section, and Maya realized she was staring. She looked down quickly, grabbed her tray, tried to blend into the wallpaper the way she'd learned to do in places where powerful men gathered. But her hands were shaking. No, not shaking, trembling. Because she'd been holding tears back for the past 40 minutes since that text about Lily, and her body was starting to rebel against the constant performance of being fine. Table 12 needs service. Her manager, Dennis, materialized beside her with wild eyes. "Mr. Kang's table. Elena's too scared. You do it." Now Maya, whatever he wants, he gets. And smile. She was already smiling. Her face was starting to crack from it. She walked toward table 12 like she was approaching a throne. The bodyguards watched her with professional assessment, calculating threats, distances, exit routes. She'd waitressed long enough to recognize security when she saw it. Jae-sung sat alone at the circular booth, a glass of whiskey in front of him, his phone dark on the table. He wasn't looking at it. Wasn't looking at anything, really. He looked hollow. No, not hollow, full of something too heavy to carry. "Good evening," Maya said, and her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Can I get you anything else, Mr.?" "You're crying." She froze. "I'm sorry?" "Not now, but you were. Earlier." He still hadn't looked directly at her. His gaze was fixed on the whiskey glass, watching amber liquid catch the low light. "You've been crying while you smile. All night." Her throat closed. How did he? Nobody noticed. She'd made sure nobody noticed. "I'm fine," she said automatically, professionally. "Can I get you?" "Sit down." "I can't. I'm working." "Sit." Not loud, not aggressive, just absolute. the kind of voice that didn't expect to be disobeyed. Maya glanced at the bodyguards. They didn't react. She slid into the booth opposite him, her heart hammering against her ribs. Jae-sung finally looked at her. Really looked. And Maya felt like every wall she'd built, every defense, every careful mask was being peeled back layer by layer. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were searching, reading her like she was a book written in a language only he could understand. "What's your daughter's name?" The world tilted. "How did you have a phone charm. Purple butterfly. There's a photo." He nodded toward her apron pocket where her phone created a small bulge. She hadn't realized it was visible. "You checked it 7 times in the past hour, and you calculate numbers in your head constantly. Bills, medication costs." Maya's mouth went dry. What's her name?" Softer this time, almost gentle. "Lily." It came out as a whisper. "She's 7. She has asthma." Jae-sung nodded slowly, picked up his whiskey, drained it in one swallow. Then he pulled out a wallet, black leather, minimalist, probably designer, and placed 5 $100 bills on the table. Crisp, new, added a business card on top, slid the stack toward her. "When you're ready to stop crying," he said quietly, "call me." Then he stood, buttoned his suit jacket with precise movements, and walked away. His bodyguards fell into formation around him like a military unit. The front door closed behind them. Maya stared at the money, at the card. Her hands were shaking again. Worse now, she shoved the money into her apron with numb fingers and finished her shift on autopilot. "4:00 a.m. Maya sat in her car in the employee parking lot and cried for real. Ugly crying, the kind that comes from exhaustion and terror and the knowledge that her daughter needed an inhaler refill and she was $317 short and her landlord was already threatening eviction and... Her phone was in her hand before she'd made a conscious decision. The business card sat on her dashboard, illuminated by the parking lot's sodium lights. She dialed. It rang once. "Maya!" His voice, alert, like he'd been waiting. "Where are you? How did you—" "Location. Send it. Now." She shouldn't. Every instinct screamed that this was dangerous, that men like him didn't give money for nothing, that she was stepping off a cliff into darkness. She sent her location. 23 minutes later, a black Mercedes pulled into the parking lot. Jae-sung got out of the driver's seat, alone this time, no bodyguards, and walked to her window. She rolled it down with shaking hands. "Get in my car," he said. I'm not going to hurt you. We're going to talk. 5 minutes. Then I'll bring you back to your car and you'll never see me again if that's what you want." The reasonable part of Maya's brain, the part that had kept her and Lily alive for 7 years, said this was insanity. But she was so tired of being reasonable. She got in his car. The interior smelled like leather and something expensive. Bergamot, maybe. Cedar. The seats were heated. She hadn't sat in a heated seat in years. Jae-sung didn't start the engine, just turned slightly to face her, one arm draped over the steering wheel. "I ran a background check on you," he said flatly. "I know about Lily's medical bills, your student loans, your ex-husband who disappeared 18 months ago, the eviction notice. I know you work 3 jobs and sleep 4 hours a night and you're drowning." Maya should have been angry, should have felt violated. Instead, she just felt seen. "Why?" she whispered. "Because I recognize survival when I see it, and I'm tired of watching people drown when I have boats." "Nothing's free." "No," he agreed. "It's not. I'm offering you a job, personal assistant, $80,000 a year for 6 months, flexible hours, health insurance that will cover Lily's medications. You'll work from my office, handle scheduling, some translation work if you speak Korean. Then you'll learn, or you won't. I don't actually need an assistant." His jaw clenched. I'm trying to do something that isn't taking, for once. And you need help. Why me?" He was quiet for a long moment. His hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. "Because you were crying and still smiling," he finally said. "Because you're strong enough to survive hell and gentle enough to still be a good mother. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone who wants something from me. I see someone who just wants to breathe." Maya felt tears sliding down her cheeks again. She was so tired of crying. "If I say yes, you'll be protected. No one will touch you or Lily. You'll work normal hours. You'll go home to your daughter every night. And in 6 months, if you want to leave, you'll have enough money to start over somewhere safe. And if I say no?" Jae-sung smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Then I'll respect that, drive away, leave you alone. But Maya," he turned to face her fully, "you called me at 2 a.m. because you're out of options. Let me be one more option, a better one." She thought of Lily's inhaler, the eviction notice, the endless exhaustion. She thought about how this man had noticed her crying when no one else had, how he'd offered help that came with strings she could see instead of invisible chains. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, I'll take the job." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, maybe, or something deeper. "Thank you," he said quietly. She almost laughed. "I should be thanking you." "No." His voice was rough. "You're saving me too. You just don't know it yet." 3 weeks changed everything. The job was real, disturbingly real. Maya worked from a glass office in downtown Chicago, in a building Jae-sung apparently owned 3 floors of. She answered emails, scheduled meetings, organized files that seemed mostly legitimate. Real estate holdings, import-export businesses, investment portfolios. She tried not to think about the meetings he took behind closed doors, the ones where men in expensive suits emerged looking pale. But he was never anything but careful with her. Professional. He said please and thank you, like the words cost him nothing, never raised his voice, never stood too close, and he asked about Lily every single day. "How's she feeling? Did the new inhaler work? There's a children's specialist at Northwestern. I can get her an appointment." The healthcare kicked in after week 1. Maya cried in the bathroom for 10 minutes when she picked up Lily's medication and the pharmacist said, "No charge. Insurance covered everything." Week 3, he showed up at her apartment. She almost didn't answer the buzzer because it was 7 p.m. and Lily was drawing at the kitchen table and they were having normal, and normal felt too fragile to risk. But she pressed the intercom. "Yes? It's me." Jae-sung's voice slightly distorted. "I brought dinner, Korean barbecue. Too much for one person." She should have said no. She buzzed him up. Lily looked up from her artwork when he entered. This tall, intimidating man in dark jeans and a simple black Henley that somehow made him look more dangerous than the suits. "Who are you?" Lily asked, with the blunt curiosity of 7-year-olds. "I'm Jae-sung. I work with your mom." He crouched down to her eye level, which Maya noticed and filed away in the part of her heart that was starting to feel dangerous things. "What are you drawing?" "Fireflies. Mommy said she used to catch them when she was little, but I've never seen one." Something flickered across his face. "Would you like to?" 20 minutes later, they were in Lincoln Park, which should have been closed, but a brief conversation with security had gates opening, and Lily was running through grass with her inhaler in Maya's pocket and pure joy on her face. Jae-sung showed her how to cup her hands gently, how to approach slowly, how to let the fireflies come to her instead of chasing. "You're good with kids," Maya said quietly. They were sitting on a bench watching Lily dance through the dark with bioluminescent insects creating small galaxies around her. "I had a sister." His voice went flat, careful. "Young, I taught her things." "Had?" "She died when she was 8. Pneumonia. We couldn't afford the hospital." He leaned back, face tilted toward the sky. "I was 14, working 2 jobs. Not enough. Never enough." Maya's throat tightened. Jae-sung, my mother died 3 years later. Stress, exhaustion, broken heart. His hands clenched into fists on his thighs. I was 17 and powerless and so fucking angry. I decided I'd never be powerless again, never watch someone I care about suffer because I didn't have enough money or connections or violence. So you became a monster. He said it simply, matter of fact. I did things that would make you run, hurt people, took what I wanted, built an empire on blood and fear because those were the only currencies I understood. Why are you telling me this? He finally looked at her, really looked, the way he had that first night in the lounge. Because you make me want to be something else, someone else. And I need you to know what I am before what? Before I fall any further. His voice cracked on the last word, barely perceptible, but she heard it. Before I do something stupid like care again. Maya reached out before she could stop herself, took his hand. His skin was warm, rough with calluses she didn't expect. You already care, she said softly. You cared enough to notice me, to help, to bring dinner and show my daughter fireflies. That's not a monster, Jae-sung. That's a man trying to be good. He stared at their joined hands like he couldn't quite believe they were real. Mommy, Lily ran over, breathless and glowing. Did you see? I caught 3. Mr. Jae-sung was right. You have to be patient and gentle. I saw, baby. Maya smiled, squeezing Jae-sung's hand once before letting go. Lily climbed onto the bench between them, leaning against Jae-sung like he was furniture, like he was safe. You're sad inside, Lily announced with the brutal honesty of children, but you're trying to be good. I can tell. Jae-sung went very still. How can you tell? Because sad people recognize sad people. Mommy taught me that. But Mommy also says sad doesn't mean bad, just means you're carrying something heavy. She yawned. You should let people help carry it. Over Lily's head, Maya met Jae-sung's eyes, saw something break open in that careful, controlled expression, saw the man underneath the monster. He drove them home in comfortable silence, carried Lily up the stairs when she fell asleep in the car, laid her gently in bed with a tenderness that made Maya's chest ache. At her apartment door, he paused. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For not running, for letting me be this. He gestured vaguely at himself. Whatever this is. Maya stepped closer, close enough to smell cedar and bergamot, close enough to see the exact moment his breathing changed. This is just you, she whispered. The real you, and I'm not running. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone, his forehead lowered to rest against hers. You should, he breathed. I'm dangerous. I know. People around me get hurt. I know. I will burn the world down to keep you safe, and that should terrify you. It does. She let her eyes close, but not as much as going back to crying while I smile. He made a sound, half laugh, half something broken, almost kissed her. His phone rang. He pulled back with visible effort, jaw clenched tight, checked the screen. His entire body went rigid. I have to go. Now, lock the door behind me. Don't answer for anyone. Jae-sung, promise me. I promise, but what's... He was already moving, already becoming something else, the gentleness sliding away like a mask, replaced by the cold predator she'd first seen in the lounge. I'll explain tomorrow, he called back. Stay inside. The door closed, the locks clicked. Maya stood in the sudden silence, heart hammering, and realized with crystal clarity that she'd just fallen in love with a very dangerous man. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She should have ignored it. She opened the message, a photo, taken from across the street. Lily visible through the window, a red circle drawn around her small figure. Cute kid. Would be a shame if something happened. Maya's blood turned to ice. A second text. Tell Jae-sung that Victor sends his regards. We'll be in touch. She was dialing his number before the phone stopped shaking in her hand. He answered immediately. "What's wrong?" "Someone. They sent a photo. Lily." "I'm sending security. They'll be there in 4 minutes. Pack a bag. You're both leaving. Now." "Where?" "Somewhere safe. Somewhere I can protect you." His voice was pure steel, pure violence barely contained. They just made their last mistake. The safe house was a penthouse in River North with bulletproof windows and more security than a bank vault. Lily thought it was an adventure. Maya couldn't stop shaking. Jae-sung arrived an hour after they did, flanked by 6 armed guards. He swept through the apartment like a storm, checking rooms, reviewing camera feeds, positioning men at strategic points. Then he came to Maya. She was standing by the window, the bulletproof window, watching Chicago glitter below them like broken glass. "They won't get to you here," he said quietly. "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can." He moved beside her, close but not touching. "Victor is desperate, stupid. I've been dismantling his operations for months. He's lost territory, money, men. This is his last play. Using me, using Lily, using you to hurt me. Because you're the first thing I've cared about in—" He stopped, jaw working. "In 8 years, since my mother died, and he knows it. Everyone knows it. I've been careless. So this is my fault? For making you care? No." His hand found hers, squeezed. "It's mine. For not finishing him sooner. For letting him live long enough to threaten you. What are you going to do?" He turned to face her fully. His eyes were black ice, arctic, inhuman. "I'm going to kill him, and everyone loyal to him. And anyone who even thinks about touching you will become an object lesson in what happens when you take something from me." She should have been afraid. She should have run. Instead, she leaned into him, let his arms come around her, let herself feel safe for the first time in 7 years. "I need you to stay here," he murmured into her hair. "With Lily. The guards will die before they let anyone through, but I need to go, end this, tonight." "Don't die." "I won't. Promise me, Jae-sung, don't die." He pulled back, cupped her face, kissed her forehead with a gentleness that contradicted everything he was about to do. "I promise. I'll come back to you." He left. The apartment felt colder immediately. Maya checked on Lily, sleeping soundly in one of the bedrooms, clutching her stuffed rabbit, then returned to the living room. The guards were positioned at entry points, professional, alert. She counted 5. Jae-sung had said 6. Her heart started pounding. "Where's the 6th guard?" she asked the closest one. He turned, smiled. His teeth were wrong, too sharp, too pleased. "Right here." The gunshot was impossibly loud. The guard beside him dropped, blood spreading, not moving. Maya ran. The bedroom. "Get to Lily, get to—" Arms caught her from behind, hand over her mouth, gun pressed to her ribs. "Scream and I kill the kid first," Victor's voice hissed in her ear. "Understand?" She nodded, tears streaming. "Not Lily. Please, God, not Lily." "Good. We're going to walk downstairs through the garage. There's a van." "Why?" "Because killing you here would be too easy. I want Jae-sung to come. Want him to see. Want him to watch you die knowing he failed." They moved through the apartment. The other guards were already dead. Shot efficiently, professionally. How long had Victor's mole been placed? The elevator ride down was the longest of Maya's life. She thought about fighting, about sacrificing herself so Lily would at least have a chance. But the gun stayed pressed to her spine, and her daughter was still upstairs, asleep and vulnerable, so she walked. The warehouse on the south side was exactly what she'd expected. Concrete, empty, cold. They'd brought Jae-sung 20 minutes later, which brought her back to now, to the gun at her head, to Jae-sung tied to a chair, bleeding and promising creative murder, to Victor's shaking hand and desperate eyes. "Any last words?" Victor asked, trying to sound confident. Jae-sung smiled. It was the most terrifying thing Maya had ever seen. Yes. His voice was silk over razors. You should have checked my wrists more carefully. The cable ties snapped. Later, Maya wouldn't be able to describe exactly what happened next. Her brain couldn't process the speed, the violence, the lethal efficiency. Jae-sung moved like water, like death. 1 second bound, the next his hand closing around the throat of the nearest guard. Snap, body dropping. Victor swung his gun away from Maya's head toward Jae-sung. Too slow. Jae-sung was already moving, covered the space between them in 3 strides, caught Victor's wrist, twisted. The sound of breaking bone was a gunshot crack. Victor screamed. The gun fell. Jae-sung kicked it away, turned Victor around, used him as a shield. 3 more guards rushed in from the shadows. Gunfire erupted. Jae-sung moved Victor's body strategically. Bullets hitting the man who'd threatened Maya instead of finding Jae-sung. When the magazines clicked empty, Jae-sung dropped the corpse. Moved again. A knife appeared in his hand. Where had he been hiding a knife? And he became something out of nightmares. Efficient, brutal, each movement calculated to end life with minimum effort. Maya pressed herself against the wall, tried to make herself small, invisible. When the shooting stopped, 6 bodies lay on the concrete. Only Jae-sung stood. He was breathing hard, blood on his hands, blood on his shirt. His own, she thought, from the bullet wound in his shoulder he'd gotten shielding her. He turned to her, those winter midnight eyes warming slightly when they found her alive, unharmed. "Are you okay?" His voice was rough, shredded. "You're hurt. Are you okay?" Louder, more desperate. "Yes, yes, I'm okay." He crossed to her in 3 steps, pulled her into his arms, held her so tightly she couldn't breathe and didn't care. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. Should have." "You did. You saved me." She pulled back just enough to see his face. "You came for me. I will always come for you. Always." His forehead dropped to hers. "I love you. I know I shouldn't. I know it's too soon and too dangerous, and I have no right." "I love you too." The words came easily, naturally, like they'd been waiting. "I choose you, danger and all. I choose you." He kissed her then, desperate and deep and tasting like copper and survival, like promises written in blood. His phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. "Answer it," Maya whispered. "Could be important." He kept one arm around her as he checked. His expression shifted. "My people, they found Victor's safe houses. His entire operation is collapsing. Is it over?" "Almost." He looked down at Victor's body, at the blood spreading, at the empire crumbling. "One more thing." He made a call, spoke in rapid Korean, hung up. "An ambulance is coming. For me, officially, but also to process this scene. The police commissioner owes me several favors. This will be ruled self-defense, gang violence, nothing that touches you." "And us?" "We disappear for a while. Somewhere safe, somewhere quiet. Let the dust settle." "Lily is already secure. My people moved her while we were—" He gestured vaguely at the carnage. "She's safe. Doesn't know anything happened. Thinks it's still an adventure." Maya felt her legs give out, adrenaline crashing, exhaustion claiming her. Jae-sung caught her, held her, lowered them both to the cold concrete floor and cradled her against his chest. "You're shaking," he murmured. "I thought I was going to die. I would have killed everyone in this city before I let that happen." She believed him. God help her. She believed every word. "You're hurt," she said again, noticing the blood spreading from his shoulder. "We need to—" "I've had worse. Just a graze." "Jae-sung, I would die 1,000 times if it meant you lived." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips, gentle despite the violence still painted on his hands. "You're my reason, my redemption. The only good thing I've done in years is notice you crying. Everything else was just surviving until I found you." The ambulance arrived with sirens and flashing lights, but Maya stayed in his arms for one more minute. One more moment of breathing him in, of feeling his heartbeat against her cheek, of knowing they'd survived. 1 month later. Sunlight poured through the kitchen windows of the Lake Forest house. Temporary, Jae-sung had said, until they decided where to go permanently. Maya was starting to think permanent might be right here. "Mommy, look!" Lily held up a drawing, crayon bright and enthusiastic. "It's us. See? You and me and Mr. Jae-sung. We're a family." 3 stick figures holding hands, a yellow sun, a too large house. The kind of art that got displayed on refrigerators with pride. Maya's throat tightened. "It's beautiful, baby." "Can we keep him?" Lily asked with the casual tone of someone requesting a pet. "Please, he makes you smile for real now. Not the fake smile, the real one." Before Maya could answer, the front door opened. Jae-sung entered with grocery bags and flowers. Sunflowers, bright and cheerful and completely at odds with his still intimidating presence, though he'd started wearing lighter colors. Gray instead of black, dark blue, small changes, important ones. "I brought ingredients for kimchi jjigae," he announced, setting bags on the counter. Then he noticed Lily's drawing. His expression softened instantly. "Is that me?" "Yep, you're the tall one. Do you like it?" "I love it." He crouched down, accepting the paper like it was priceless art. "Can I keep it?" "Only if you stay." "Lily," Maya started. "I'm planning on it," Jae-sung said quietly. His eyes found Maya's across the kitchen, held. "If your mother will let me." Lily squealed and launched herself at him. He caught her easily, standing with her wrapped around his waist like a small octopus. "Can I go play in the garden?" she asked. "Stay where we can see you," Maya said automatically. Lily ran off, already humming some made-up song. Jae-sung moved closer, wrapped his arms around Maya from behind as they watched Lily through the window, dancing through grass and chasing butterflies. "She's healing," he murmured. "Her breathing is better. The new medication is working. Because of you, the doctors you found, the insurance. Because she deserves to breathe easily. You both do." Maya turned in his arms, looked up at this man who'd been a stranger 9 weeks ago, who'd noticed her crying, who'd offered salvation without knowing he was saving himself too. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me, for choosing me, for being more than survival." "You saved me," he corrected gently. "You showed me I could be more than the monster I built. That caring isn't weakness. That love is worth the risk." "Are you scared?" "Terrified." He smiled and it reached his eyes, transformed his face into something almost soft. "But I'm choosing it anyway. Choosing you. Choosing this. Choosing to be the man Lily thinks I am. The good one trying hard, the good one trying hard." Maya kissed him, slow and sweet and full of promise, full of future. When they pulled apart, Lily was waving at them from the garden, her smile bright as the sunflowers Jae-sung had brought. "Sometimes love doesn't arrive gently," Maya said softly, echoing words her grandmother had once told her. "It crashes into your life like a storm, breaking everything you thought was solid, flooding all the careful walls you built around your heart. And sometimes," Jae-sung added, his voice rough with emotion, "the storm is exactly what you needed, because you can't build something new until the old has been washed away." He pulled her closer, pressed a kiss to her temple. "I was drowning before you," he admitted, "powerful but empty. Rich but starving. I had everything except a reason to be better. And now? Now I wake up and want to be the man you see, the one who brings flowers and cooks dinner and teaches Lily to catch fireflies, the one who chooses creation over destruction. You're already that man. I'm becoming him. Because of you. Because you cried and I noticed, and in noticing, I found myself." Outside, Lily cartwheeled across the lawn, laughed at nothing. lived with the easy joy of a child who felt safe. "This is everything," Maya whispered. "This is everything," Jae-sung agreed. And in that sun-filled kitchen, with flowers on the counter and a child's laughter drifting through open windows, two people who'd survived hell found their heaven. Not perfect, never perfect, but real and chosen and worth every risk. Sometimes love doesn't arrive gently. Sometimes it arrives holding a gun and a promise, wearing darkness like armor, hiding gentleness underneath steel. Sometimes it arrives exactly when you stop looking for it. Sometimes it saves you while you're saving it back. And sometimes, just sometimes, the monster and the survivor look at each other across a crowded room and recognize the same desperate hope. Please, see me. Choose me. Save me. And they do.